You've been told to squeeze your glutes at the top of every deadlift and squat. That sounds like a good advice, right? But here is the truth. Squeezing your glutes might block your hips, stress your lower back, and limit strength output. And let me show you why that is the case. Most athletes here squeeze your glutes hard. This is because coaches want them to prevent lazy lockouts or get more muscle activation. But the problem is that if we're overdoing it, so if we're squeezing the glutes too hard, we're not just turning on the glutes, we're actually closing off motion at the pelvis. We call this closing the posterior outlet. The posterior outlet is the space between the sacrum and the innominate, and whenever we're squeezing the glutes, we're closing off that space and we're shutting down motion at the backside of the pelvis. And what we're going to see quite often is that tucked under pelvis with really hard squeezed glutes and could say an over-prominent posterior pelvic tilt. Your glutes are hip extensors. That means they bring the femur, the upper leg bone back in space. They shouldn't close off the posterior part of the pelvis. If we're squeezing the glutes too hard, the sacrum will tip forward and close off the backside of the pelvis and restrict movement, and it will restrict hip extension. So our ability to fully straighten the hips without compensating through another joint, which is very, very likely if we're squeezing the glutes too hard, because then the SI joint won't move properly and the next joint up the chain, your lower back, is probably going to take the bill for it. Think of the pelvis like a door hinge. If you're going to glue the hinge, the door won't open. Over squeezing your glutes will glue the hinge and restrict movement at the pelvis, and the body is probably finding a way to move through somewhere else, and in this case it's probably going to be the lower back. To wrap it up, we can say that squeezing the glutes too hard will close the pelvis. Closing means there is no true hip extension. Now let's talk about why this matters for you. If your hips can't extend, you'll feel constant tightness in your glutes and hamstrings, and your lower back will take over. And this is where we then start running into that nagging lower back discomfort or even worse, pain. And we also can see it in the movement patterns. Our squats and deadlifts are not getting stronger, eventually getting weaker. Did you ever felt like your hips are blocked at the lockout and your lower back is pumped more than your glutes and hamstrings? This is why. Now let's talk solutions. Instead of squeeze your glutes as hard as you can, think of push your feet into the floor or push tall. One of the key requirements to extend the hips properly is to be able to assume a stacked position. If you don't know what the stack is and how to get access to it, then watch one of my videos. I will attach it over here where I break it down in a step-by-step progression on how to access the stack. The stack is the most crucial position for us to assume a neutral position in which we're not overly extended or overly crunched, because those are both extremes and will limit the ability for us to extend the hips. So key requirement for us is to have the head, rib cage and pelvis nicely stacked above each other so that we are actually able to extend the hips without compensating through another joint. This lets the glute do their job. Extend the hip without locking motion at the pelvis. So remember, glutes are movers, not clamps. If you squeeze your glutes too hard, you will limit movement at the pelvis. Instead, think about pushing through so your hips can move as they're designed to. If you found this helpful, then please subscribe, like, and share this video so you don't miss out on any new content. And that's it, guys, for this week. See you in the next one.